Welcome, welcome. This is part 3 of our series that we put together. So if you are tuning in now and you haven't listened to the prior 2 episodes, we would definitely encourage you to pause and go back to the prior 2 episodes just to kind of get the full picture. But we are going to be sharing the second C, the third letter in our SCC method. The SCC method is what Taleesa and I put together to help med spa owners, and it's what we do to help our clients build a comprehensive marketing machine. So it's not just social media, it's not just email, it's not just events. It's how do you build a marketing machine that is totally comprehensive. So that's today we're talking about the third letter, which is community. And so we already talked about seekers. So seekers are the clients that are currently seeking your services. So they're actively looking. So the key there is to be in the right place at the right time. We've already talked about clients, which is your low-hanging fruit. These are the people who already know, like, and trust you. They've purchased from you. And we talked about how to increase your rebooking rate and how to upsell them into higher priced packages. And then today we're talking about community. So community is going to be how you partner with other local businesses in your area to bring in more clientele into your business while also becoming a pillar in your local community. So that way, when people need your services, they think of you, and it just really helps build that word of mouth machine that's so critical for businesses. So we will be diving right into community. So who is community? So that's the first question. So Taleesa, when we put together the list of who is a community partner, we made up a whole big list. And I think that some of them are obvious. Some of them are unique ideas. So I figured we could just kind of talk through like different ones and what makes them a community partner, because everyone has some of these, but some of them just don't exist in other people's markets. So a community partner is going to be another local business that serves the exact same ideal client that you do, but they don't compete with you.
Yeah.
So it's not another med spa. It's not another med spa, but who else serves the same ideal client as you? So as an example, the first one that we could talk through is a wedding photographer. So a wedding photographer is going to be serving brides, mothers of brides, and usually they're booked, 6 to 9 months out from the wedding, if not farther out than that. So it gives you enough time to do the services you need to do, and heal up and all of that prior to their wedding day. So a local photographer would be a community partner for you.
Yeah. And I love wedding photographers because I think when you can partner with a local wedding photographer, you can put together really cool packages with them where it's like an automatic sell for both of you, right? So, if someone wants to come in for wedding treatments, maybe there's like some kind of amazing deal or bonus that they get for booking both of you at the same time for their wedding. And I feel like with weddings, a lot of times people they want to look their best, right? They're going to have those pictures forever, their whole life. They're going to show their kids and their grandkids those pictures. So they want to look their best. And so it makes complete sense that they would want to come in for services and then also have beautiful pictures on their big day. So partnering with an amazing local wedding photographer is one of our favorite ideas that we give clients. And it definitely produces a lot of amazing results because, again, they care a lot about those pictures and a lot about how they look in those pictures. So, of course, they want the best of the best for both.
Yeah. And a lot of times, too, they're willing to throw caution to the wind when it comes to a higher ticket package, because if it's for the wedding day, we're doing it.
Right. And here's the thing is you'll also have time because if they're booking this wedding photographer, let's say 9 months out, maybe as soon as they book with the photographer, they get a consultation with you. And again, you're going to be able to really be able to gauge what they actually need and give them what they actually need based off of their goals, their anatomy, all of those different factors. And there are treatments that maybe will take 6 months before they really can see results, and you'll be able to get them those results in a timely manner that fits with their wedding.
Yeah, and then you can also, once you can hook in the bride, then you have a lot of other options beyond that. You have the mother of the bride package. You could do part of the bachelorette party. You know, everyone, Botox is such a fun thing that people will do it in a setting where they feel like everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, it's
If
true.
they've never tried it, or like even lips too, like a little bit of lip filler too. So yeah, there's a lot of creative ideas there. So definitely, if you know of a wedding photographer, or you connect with them, build a friendship with them. So we'll get into that later. But another example of a community partner is a makeup artist. So a makeup artist, now this one actually comes to our list because of Taleesa and I's personal experience. So we booked a photo shoot. If you've been on our website at all, the photos that are on our website we took in Austin, Texas, and we both flew there, and we booked a dermaplaning facial, which we did this unintentionally, just to be honest. Like, we did this unintentionally. So we booked a dermaplaning facial because we wanted to support our clients. So we have a client in Austin, Texas. We wanted to do something that was like quick, but also support their business. So we both did dermaplaning facials because we'd never had the service done before. And then we had like a hydrating mask that got put on after that. And then I think one of us did our eyebrows too, but I can't remember. But anyway, so we did the dermaplaning facial, and then the next day we went and had our makeup done professionally for the shoot. And we were like, oh my gosh, like this makeup looks so good. It looked airbrushed on.
It was so
And
nice.
yeah, it just didn't have that cakey look, which, you know, when you do get your makeup done professionally, it does look cakey up close sometimes.
Yes.
It can, you know, and then it's creasing in weird spots. And Austin is so sweaty. It was
And it
just
was like,
sweaty.
it was definitely hot when we went. It was not the
Yeah.
winter.
No, isn't it? Oh, it's always hot. I feel like it's just got to be like humid and sweaty there. So, yeah, our makeup looked stunning because
Yeah.
of the dermaplaning facial. So, all that to be said, that if you can partner up with a makeup artist and just say like, hey, just so you know, I offer dermaplaning facials. So if you have a client coming in for a wedding or for like a big event, which most of the time people are getting makeup done only for big events, then they can encourage them to do a dermaplaning facial the day prior, and their makeup's going to look better, and it's going to be better for everyone. It'll be better for the client, better for you, better for the makeup artist. And then you kind of build that rapport anyway with the makeup artist, and you guys can do trade for service too, you know,
Yeah.
here and there when you need your makeup done for a shoot, or they need their Botox done or whatever, you can come up with trades. But a makeup artist is a lot of times serving the same ideal client as you. And I know you could be sitting there thinking like, gosh, I don't really care to trade for a little dermaplane, you know, like I don't want to trade for a little service. But the good thing is that when you get clients in your chair, then you have their undivided attention, where a lot of times clients are going to say, well, if I could do anything to my face, like what do you think I should do? You know,
Right.
what do you think I should do? Like, does Botox hurt? Or, you know, should I get my cheeks done, or do my lips look thin? You know, people will be more inclined to ask questions when it's just you and them in a room in your chair. So getting them in for a dermaplaning facial is going to be at least like getting them in the door. So
Right.
yeah, a makeup artist is a great one.
Yes.
I would say another community partner that is a unique twist is a hairstylist.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Everyone loves
so
their hairstylist. It's
don't
like
they
their
though? Like,
it's like their therapist as well.
right, like you, and they're always beautiful.
Yeah.
They always look so good. Their hair's always on trend, you know. Their clothes are always on trend. They're just like, and then I have to laugh because like, you know, you feel and look your ugliest like when you go there, because you're sitting there in that ugly cape with your wet dog hair, and you're just looking in the mirror like, wow, I look awful. um so it's a good time to like stare at yourself and be critical, you know. That's like when that happens, where you're like, wow, like reflecting life choices. But um anyway, so the makeup, or the hairstylist, why she's great is because or he, there's a lot of great male
Yeah.
hairstylists as well. But they already have the trust of that client.
Yep.
that's really why they're a winner, because they already have the trust of that client. So, clients are going to ask them like, gosh, there's no way you're 40. Like, how do you look like that good? And they can say, oh, well, I go and see Taleesa at such and such med spa. And they're like, oh, wow. So building, I would try more for individual hairstylists versus entire hair salons, just because it's easier to build a personal one-on-one connection with an individual person versus an entire hair salon, which we'll get into that later in this episode. But you know they're not going to just, like, people are not just walking around your community like dying to send referrals your way. Like, it has to be worth it for them in some way too, which we'll talk about that later in this episode as well. But it's easier to build that one-on-one connection with an individual versus an entire hair salon. So just
Right.
kind of keep that in mind too.
And actually, I just wanted to throw this in. I know personally, I have a family member who this is literally how she started lip filler and Botox, is because of her hairstylist. So I know it works because that is legitimately how one of my aunts started seeing somebody. And then because she started seeing somebody, a lot of my other family started seeing the same person. So I know this works because I've seen it happen in my own family. And I think there's truly not a lot of people you trust more with beauty advice than your cosmetologist.
Yeah, no, totally. For sure. I mean, I would think of one of my best friends. She's met actually two of my best friends do hair. One of them, she doesn't actually practice anymore, but she still does mine.
Yeah.
But they're always on trend and always look adorable, and they're doing all the things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. So hairstylists for sure. I would say one that we see a lot of med spas partnering with, and I don't think it's the most fruitful, but I do think that it's worth considering, are like local boutiques.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you are in a more affluent area and you have boutiques there. But as an example, there's a client that's local to me and connected, like directly connected. They have doors in between the store and her med spa. They do events quite often with that boutique. And I've asked her before, like, how do the events go? And the only challenge can be sometimes the clientele that they get isn't always going to be the same ideal client.
Yeah.
So, and then it's just not really the same, like, it's not in alignment, I guess, where you would say like someone who's willing to spend more money on high-end clothes isn't always the person that is going to want to come in and get work done, but I would say it can be an alignment.
Yeah, not always, but even beginning services. Like, who doesn't love a facial? And then it builds that curiosity, like you had mentioned earlier. Like, if you could just get someone in your door for any service, I truly feel like it builds curiosity within the client to at least inquire about other stuff. Like, even if it's just, what do you think about this? You can't
Or
help.
like, what have you had done?
Yeah, like they can't help but be curious. So I think even if it's worth it in the standpoint that you might be able to get some clientele for beginning services, that is amazing. And on this note, this is also why I would encourage every med spa to have beginning services that seem less intimidating. Because a facial, again, does not sound intimidating to anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I have invited a couple of my friends to come with me to get Botox for the first time when I go and get mine redone. And they're like, oh, I hate needles. Like, even one of my friends who, I did her wedding, did the master and mistress of ceremony. My husband and I did that. And I offered to buy her as a gift, like a micro needling package. And she was like, no, I'm too scared of needles. I'm like, oh my, you have no idea how good your skin would look. Like,
yeah.
And she just wouldn't do it. She was too scared. So yeah, people are really scared of kind of those more, for me, I'm like, load me up, laser my face off. But, everyone's not there yet, but it's okay.
But I would say, like, I wasn't like that in the beginning. I was scared of every flipping thing. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And like, look at me now. So, I think I am a perfect example of someone who needed to start slow. And then now I'm obsessed with everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, remember when you first got your first tox done? And I had gotten mine done only before you a little bit, but I had full Dysport done, and I was like, freeze me up. I don't even want mine moving. I don't want it to move. And you were like, no, I want mine to move a little bit. So I want to do Xeomin, right? And then the more you get it, you're like, just put it Dysport in. I don't want to move it.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's so true. It's so true. But I was like sweating the first time that I ever tried it. And then now I freaking love it. So I'm just saying,
you can't live without it.
No, so I'm just saying, like, people can be baby steppers, and that's okay. They can turn into some of your most beloved clients. So don't discount people just because they're scared at the first. So, because that was me.
Totally.
That was me. I will admit it.
Me too. I mean, I actually want to put together an episode about this, like how to sell in person. Actually, I think that we should totally do an episode about that too, because I remember when I went to see our client that's local to me, and I had concerns about my under eye area, and she was like, well, you need cheek filler. And I was like, no, I'm not walking out of here looking like Michael Jackson. And she was like, yeah, girl, like that's what you need though. Like you need that to fix your under eye. And I was like, no, I need filler in my under eye. She's like, Andrea, no, that's not what you need. And she's like, you're doing cheek filler today. And I was like, okay, I'll trust you. And that really changed things for me. Like, I felt like $1,000,000. Oh, I'm still so happy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like selling in the chair when you have those curious people is critical too. So we should do an episode about that, but
we should.
Okay. So who are some other community members? So, we actually have a client that we're going to be doing a crossover podcast recording with here in the near future. He's a plastic surgeon, and our topic of that podcast recording is going to be how you can partner with physicians in your area to help you grow your med spa. So that brings me to a community partner potentially is a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist. If you have like an individual dermatologist or a small office that doesn't offer all the same medical aesthetic services that you do, just because a lot of times med spas think of these people as competition, and sometimes they are, right? Like with little things like Botox, of course, they're going to do it because Botox is, an easy money maker for a lot of people. But if you have invested in different devices, if you invest in the devices and they know they don't have to invest in the devices and you're going to refer patients to them, then you can build that rapport with them for, building up, your clientele for devices at least. So I would definitely consider like, who are these other people, and then even other things out of the box. Like if you have semaglutide as an example, I know a lot of listeners probably do have that because it's the hot thing right now. I would say check out primary care offices. If you know any of the primary care offices and kind of build that referral relationship with them. I would say any orthopedic offices near you, right? Like think about they're going to be wanting how many of their patients come in with knee problems that could probably lose a few pounds? Like a lot. We live in America.
But also like along with that too, dietitians that might want to come on with you to promote the program. So it's very well-rounded for helping people get into the best health of their life. And maybe they're also with a physician as well in a different clinic. Like just getting those connections with people to make your program the best it can be is also incredibly important.
Yeah. So yeah, anything you can do from like a building relationship standpoint from who serves the same ideal client that you do. So that's kind of where we're going. So I would think along the lines of like service providers. It could be someone who does spray tans, like high-end spray tans. It could be someone who does permanent jewelry. To be honest, like those people, those are expensive. I know because I have a couple of them. I've been to the parties. Hairstylists, the boutiques, wedding photographers, family photographers, makeup artists, those types of services. So just kind of think in your mind. Taleesa and I would suggest that you come up with a list between 5 and 10.
Yep.
I would say 5 is a good starting place because what we're going to get into next is how to nurture those people. And it will be easier if you start with 5 so you can really nurture those 5 well. You'd rather do 5 really well than 10, halfway.
Yes, I agree. But when we say 5 to 10, these are people that you are internally committing to really nurturing the relationship and working towards it. So that's what we mean when we say make a list of 5 to 10. These aren't just like, oh, these would be nice and I'll talk to them every once in a while. We're going to talk about how we're going to nurture these people and like commit to it.
Yeah. So do you want to start with that? Like, with the obvious, our favorite social media.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you're going to nurture these relationships. So the first, of course, easy, I would say probably one of the easiest ways to nurture a relationship with them is through social media. So what we mean by this is commenting on their posts, sharing their stuff. Let's say they have an event coming up, share their event on your page and say, oh my goodness, I love this boutique. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. It's the very, very best. I get all my favorite clothes are from here, definitely come to their event, like hyping them up on social media, liking all of their stuff. Everyone listening knows how incredible it feels when you have those people that just always support your stuff. You always see them liking your stuff. You always see them commenting. You just internally grow a love for them because you're like, wow, they really are supporting my stuff. And it's just to be nice. It's not because they always want something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just like builds that relationship. DMing them every once in a while when they maybe have a funny story, like, or, oh my goodness, your dog's so cute. Just whatever it is, just being in their inbox, being in their sight on social media and making sure to publicly, really call them out and talk about how much you love them. Or if you go get your hair done by a hairstylist, this is something I will say. If you pick a hairstylist, please like stick to a hairstylist. Don't like shout out 17 different ones in a week because that's, not the vibes that we're going for. But let's say it's your personal hairstylist that you really want to build this relationship with. When you get your hair done, get on stories and be like, I am obsessed with my hair. Julie down at the cut above. I don't know. It's my favorite. I'm just, again, of course, just throwing stuff out. But I think it's important that you showcase their work, even if it's something that you got done, or if it's a new outfit, do a little try on haul or do something fun that really shouts them out on social media. So that's the first place. And I would say probably the easiest place that you could nurture that relationship. And I would say regularly be shouting them out on social media. Does that mean it has to be every day? No. But what I say, anytime you see anything that they post, at least giving it a like, maybe a few times a month, giving them a comment or getting in their DMs. So it's just regular. It doesn't have to be crazy overkill, not every day or anything like that. But anytime you see their stuff, at least giving them a like, that takes 0.7 seconds of your day, and it means a lot to people. It really does. So I would say multiple times a month with social. The next thing I would do to develop and nurture a relationship with these 5 people, let's just say you're doing 5, I would also highly recommend doing something in person, something personal often. So I would say make it a goal of once a month. And what I mean by this is if they're a boutique owner, going in and just shopping around and talking with them for a little bit. Doesn't mean you have to buy everything every time you go in, but just going in and browsing and chatting and having a fun little afternoon at the boutique, that's great. Or, if it's your hairstylist, maybe just like taking a coffee to them. Like that would mean so much. Can you imagine if just a friend came in and was like, I was thinking of you. There's this new cookie shop that opened and I just wanted to bring you some of these cookies. That would mean a lot. So just doing little things like that, just stopping in, saying hi, or maybe inviting them to an event that you are also going to that's going on in your community. I know a lot of communities have, women entrepreneur like events, or there's so many things that happen. I know there's like masterminds for women business owners, or there's so many things that you could go to that you could invite them to.
Yeah.
There's lots
I do
of
want to
things.
say,
go ahead.
Sorry. I would say for these things, like when I think about the clients that we work intimately with, they're very busy people. And so I'm assuming a lot of the people that are listening to this are like, I don't have time for that. Like, I don't have time to be doing all that stuff. But what I would challenge you is to say, if you put it on your calendar and you commit to doing it, you can do it. So like even like Taleesa was talking about with social media, just say every Friday morning, I'm going to block off 9 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. and I'm going to go through my list of 5 and I'm just going to comment on their recent thing and like, you know, whatever their most recent posts are. And I'm going to share some stuff to my stories or whatever. Like if you can't commit to doing it, you know, integrating it into your daily practice, then I would put the time on your calendar. I would say the same thing for like the monthly connections in person. Like if you can just put it on your calendar to say, tomorrow morning, I'm going to stop at Starbucks and I'm going to drop this coffee off, or, you know, I'm going to invite Taleesa out to dinner this month and just see, or like grab a coffee with her or grab lunch or something like that. If you put it on your calendar, you can commit to it for sure.
And you can even think to yourself, okay, the first week of every month, you know, if you have 5, you just think to yourself, okay, the first week of the month, Monday, I'm going to visit so-and-so, Tuesday, so-and-so, Wednesday, so-and-so, Thursday, so-and-so, Friday, so-and-so. And like, that's just like a monthly thing. And again, it doesn't have to be, you know, a full-blown dinner every time. It can literally just be, I'm going to drop a coffee off in the morning and move on with my day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
It could even be downloading the Crumble Cookies app on your phone and sending it to them with a cute note. It doesn't even have to be you going necessarily in person. It could be like Uber Eats too.
Yeah.
You know, if they're across town or something like that, it doesn't have to be like you're taking the morning to go do it either. You can, you know, I would say I wouldn't do that every time because it would get a little creepy.
Expensive. And expensive. You go with creepy, I say expensive. No, I agree, but like how nice would it be, you know, if there's a boutique, I'm just sticking with the boutique theme just because I feel like it's easy to stick with the theme. But let's say, you know that the boutique owner also has 2 employees there at lunch and say, hey, I tried this restaurant and it was phenomenal. I want to Uber Eats you guys so you can try it out. You know, something like that every once in a while. I'm not saying do that all the time, but every once in a while, like how nice of a gesture would that be?
It would make my whole day.
I know. People send me like a happy birthday text and I'm like crying about it. Yeah. So it would really make my day.
Yeah. I think that like what you're trying to get at here is just the stuff that you would do for a friend.
Absolutely. Because the point of nurturing a relationship is to build a friendship. It's the same thing. You want to be friends with these people.
For our Done For You clients, of course, we are logged into their Instagrams, right? So like their Instagrams are on our phones or whatever. And we have one client that's in North Carolina and she's in this really cool networking group with other local businesses. They have like an Instagram group. So my phone goes off all the time. They're messaging in there constantly about who's hosting events and who's doing what and supporting each other's stuff. And it is so cool to see.
Yeah, I love that.
It is so cool. That's like the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. So maybe start one.
Yeah. Yeah. Be the initiator.
Yeah, I love it.
So some other things you can do is hosting events. So once you've kind of started building that rapport with these people, you can invite them all and maybe you can host a group event and you can all promote it to your group, to your like list of people, your clientele, all on your social media accounts, all like through your email, and get everyone to promote the event. That's one thing because you're all serving the same ideal client. Along the lines of events, you could host your own event and invite them to be vendors, you know, to say like, if you would give away like one free, you know, $25 gift card to your place, like I'd love to have you there. You know, we could do that as a raffle or item or something like that. Like just get them involved in your event. And, you know, if they're hosting events, you could offer to support their event too. Like, hey, I'd love to come and be a vendor at your event if it would help, you know, and I can promote that I'm coming or whatever. But like in-person events are great. Another type of event idea that you could do with them is if you get a new device or a new treatment, you could do like a mini lunch and learn with them and have them be like the try it first people or like models. They could be your models for it. And I would say when you have someone be a model and actually try the service, they are definitely going to be more likely to share it with people because they've tried it. So those are just some different event ideas, but events and in-person things are just definitely more heartfelt. And that's, again, why Taleesa and I suggested only like 5 to 10, because you can't do this with 20 people. I mean, maybe you can, but it would be really challenging to make it feel like personal, like we're saying. So yeah, those are kind of some event ideas, but I would definitely, we do encourage clients to do quarterly events. So you should be doing an event every quarter, whether it's big, whether it's small, whether it's for your clients, whether it's like we were just saying, a community type event. You can also find these people through Chamber of Commerce, local Chamber of Commerce, or like where I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we have a really robust like Grand Rapids female entrepreneurs Facebook group that has thousands of women business owners in it. And so you could find people through things like that to do to promote for different events, to get them to come, and maybe that's how you meet them, to say like, hey, I'm a med spa owner. I'm hosting an event, in the middle of June, and I would love to have some vendors that also serve the same client as me. So if you'd be interested in being a vendor, please reach out to me. I guarantee you will get people reaching out.
Yeah.
And that could be how you start the relationship too. So I would say a big important part of hosting events and just being, our whole theme around community is building relationships, but also becoming a pillar in your community.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that med spas are popping up everywhere, on every corner. It feels like that's a theme that we hear from our clients, is like, oh, there's another new med spa, there's another new med spa, there's another injector. And so if you've already established yourself as the community leader, then it's a little bit harder for them to compete with you. So
Yep.
yeah, that would be what I would suggest too, is just some in-person events. And then another thing is to really nurture them, is to reward them in some way for sending clients your way. And hopefully they return the favor, and hopefully you're honest about it and really try to send people their way too, which is why you wouldn't want to have multiple people of the same service provider. You wouldn't want to have multiple makeup artists or multiple hairstylists. It just feels fake. Like you want to have your one preferred person. But in terms of a referral program, you want to pick something that's going to get them excited. No one gives a freaking rip about $10 in their wallet. Like no one cares about that, because the services are so expensive at a med spa that $10 is like a drop in the bucket. So, doing something that's exciting for them, maybe like $50 in their wallet, or like for, every 10 people they refer, they get their talks done for free. The thing that's a little bit challenging about those is just the tracking of it.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's the hard thing. So you could always do trade for service with people. People love that. We do it trade for service with other agencies all the time.
Yep.
Taleesa and I do, like little things. But if you could find, the photographer can do quarterly shoots for you for your business, you can trade them for Botox. We've done that quite a few times with clients. You could do trades with the makeup artist for them to do your makeup before your quarterly shoots, and you do their Botox. Like you can kind of find out ways. But I guess I'm just saying, people, like I said at the beginning, people are not just dying to send people to your business. Like they don't wake up in the morning and say, how can I grow Taleesa's business today?
Yeah.
They are thinking about how they can grow their business. So
Right.
if you guys can find ways to help grow each other's businesses while you're growing your own, then that's going to establish you as a community leader and help you build that community. So the whole concept around building your community with community partners is not going after client for client. It's going after the source of the clients.
Yep.
So it's a little bit more of a elite strategy. And that's why it doesn't need to be a personal connection. But
I would also say like one more category that I want to touch on, and we won't talk about it in depth on this episode because we've already done one, but influencers. Do not count influencers out that are in your local area, because they are a part of your community. And I would say, again, I would highly suggest influencers that are they're influencers because of your area somehow. So for instance, some examples that I already gave on the influencer podcast that we did, and I'd highly recommend, if you haven't listened to that one, to listen to it. But a good influencer to pick would be someone like, let's say that you're in San Diego. I have a friend that runs a whole page that is like things to do in San Diego, like best things to do in San Diego. And she has quite the following, and she does amazing parks and museums and restaurants, and she highlights so many places locally. That would be a brilliant person to have a relationship with, because they have a large following, because they're local. Or maybe like a pageant queen. That's another great one because, again, people locally are supporting them. And of course, someone like that probably has followers outside of your local area, but a big majority will be local because they're representing your local area. So finding influencers that have a local influence also is a huge benefit for growing that community aspect to your business and being a community leader. So don't count them out, and definitely listen to our podcast about influencers. I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, that is a great episode. We're also going to be doing an episode soon here on events and different types of events to host and how to make an event successful. That will be a great episode to follow this one with too. Just because events is such a detailed discussion. There's a lot to go through with events. So,
for sure.
Yeah, in terms of your local community. So just to kind of recap everything with community. So first step is find local partners. So you're going to want to find around 5 is a good place to start just because you're going to want to do it right. You don't want to rush it. And then step 2 is going to be beginning relationships with these people. So, finding a way to actually be a friend and be a supporter of their business too. And then the third step is going to be finding ways to grow each other's businesses. So through events, through referral programs, and that type of thing. And then the goal with this will be to, instead of having to rely on one client at a time coming in, you have a referral source that's feeding you referrals. But then in return, you have to be doing the same for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the concept around community. So again, this was a 3-part series. This was the 3rd part of our 3-part series around seekers, clients, and community. So be on the lookout for the other episodes that are coming out that kind of pair with this one, the events one, and then also our crossover with the plastic surgeons from the Fuller Butts podcast. That will be really fun. I love their name.
I love their name so much.
But yeah, they're plastic surgeons, and that's going to be our topic of discussion. So if you are a med spa and you don't have a relationship with a plastic surgery office in your local area, that will be a great episode to listen to. So yeah, stay on the lookout for that. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, Taleesa, talking about community and the other 2. I loved this series. It was kind of fun. So we'll
let us know if you want
series.
us to do more series, because we loved doing this. And I definitely feel like we have other proprietary methods within Smith and Crawford Company. So if you liked this series, let us know, because we're happy to do more.
Yes, I agree. I can think of a couple ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys. So the support email is in the show notes. So check it out. It's hello@smithandcrawford.com. And yeah, we'll tune in with you guys next week.